Every video about making money from animals starts the same way. Here's the startup cost. Here's what you need to buy. Here's the investment. This one's different. Every system in this video can be started with $0 out of pocket, not low startup costs, not affordable. Zero. Because the organisms are available for free if you know where to look, and most people don't. 9 systems, a combined income of $1,800 a month at the midpoint. Every income figure comes with the math. Here's how it works. Before we go system by system, here's the full picture. System 1, red wigglers, monthly income, $75 to $120. System 2, black soldier fly larvae, $200 to $350. System 3, garden snails, $100 to $200. System 4, oyster mushrooms on free coffee grounds, $200 to $400. System 5, mealworms, $100 to $150. System 6, duckweed, $50 to $100. System 7, free rabbits flipped as breeding stock, $500 to $700. System 8, crickets, $75 to $125. System 9, honeybees via spring swarm capture, $100 to $175. That's a combined monthly range of $1,400 to $2,300. Every one of these systems can be launched without spending $1 on your starting stock. The math is in every segment. Let's go. Red wigglers are composting worms, Eisenia fetida, and they are one of the most overlooked income sources you can run in a 5-gallon bucket under your kitchen sink. Here's the free start. Call your county's extension office or search for a local Master Gardener program. Ask if they have worms to share. The answer is almost always yes. Red wiggler colonies double every 60 to 90 days, and established worm farmers are always splitting bins. You can also search Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist in your area right now. Free worms, free composting worms, splitting worm bin. These listings exist in virtually every metro area. Your bin is a repurposed bucket or Rubbermaid tote. Your bedding is shredded newspaper or cardboard. Your worm food is kitchen scraps, coffee grounds, fruit peels, vegetable trimmings. Total cost to start, $0. Here's the income math. A 10-square-foot worm bin produces 10 to 15 pounds of worm castings per month. Worm castings sell at farmers markets for $5 to $8 a pound. That's $50 to $120 a month from a single bin that fits in a corner of your garage. The second income stream is live worms. Fishermen pay $25 to $40 per pound, or $30 per thousand count. Gardeners are an equally strong market. Search red wigglers for sale in your local Facebook groups and you'll see demand every week. Where to sell: Facebook Marketplace, farmers markets, Craigslist, and local gardening groups. The number one mistake is overfeeding. Mold kills worm bins faster than anything. Feed light, only what they can consume in 3 to 4 days. One layer of food scraps, then bury it under the bedding. Black soldier fly larvae are one of the most efficient food waste converters on the planet. They eat almost anything organic, kitchen scraps, garden waste, manure, and turn it into high-protein live feed that reptile owners, chicken keepers, and fishermen will pay for. The free start angle here depends on your climate. If you're in USDA Plant Hardiness Zone 7 or warmer, that covers most of the south-southeast Pacific coast and large parts of the Midwest, black soldier flies will find your food waste bin naturally. You don't purchase eggs or larvae. You build a bin from scrap wood or a repurposed bucket, put food waste in it, and the flies colonize it on their own within 1 to 3 weeks during warm months. Total cost, $0. Once larvae are established, a 4x4-foot active bin produces 5 to 10 pounds of larvae per week at peak output. Income math: Live BSFL sell for $15 to $22 per pound to reptile owners, backyard chicken keepers, and wild bird enthusiasts. At 7 pounds per week and $15 per pound, that's $105 per week, $420 per month gross. Subtract minimal costs for the bin materials if you don't have scraps, and your monthly net is $200 to $350. The secondary income stream is frass, the larvae's waste product, which is a premium garden fertilizer. It sells for $1 to $3 per pound on Etsy and at farmers markets. The number one mistake: no drainage. A bin with no drainage becomes anaerobic and smells. Build a slight slope into your collection bin and let liquids drain into a separate container. That liquid is also sellable as fertilizer tea. Here's one most people have never considered. Garden snails, specifically the species Helix aspersa, are already living in most American backyards. They're the same snail served as escargot in French restaurants. You've been stepping on a potential income stream. The free start is literal. Walk around your yard or a neighbor's yard with a container and collect 50 to 100 snails. Build a pen from scrap wood and chicken wire. It needs to be escape-proof because snails are better at escaping than you'd expect. Feed them kitchen vegetable scraps, cabbage leaves, lettuce trimmings, carrot ends. No cost. Income math. Live escargot snails sell direct to restaurants for $10 to $20 per pound. At a farmer's market, expect $12 to $18 per pound. 100 snails at collection time becomes 150 or more snails within 3 months as they breed. A mature Helix aspersa weighs roughly 10 to 15 grams, about 30 snails per pound. At 30 snails per pound and $15 per pound, selling 100 snails generates $50. Scale to a 500 snail operation, and that's $250 per sale cycle. Monthly income target for a small operation, $100 to $200. The single biggest mistake is not checking your local regulations first. Helix aspersa is an already established, introduced species and is legal to raise in most U.S. states. What you cannot do is import or raise African giant snails. Those require a USDA permit. Garden snails from your own yard? In most states, no permit required. Always verify before selling commercially. Sell channels, local restaurants with farm-to-table menus, farmers markets, Facebook Marketplace. Oyster mushrooms are the most profitable mushroom for beginners. They grow fast, first harvest in 20 to 30 days. They sell for $10 to $16 per pound at farmers markets. And if you know this one sourcing trick, your substrate is completely free. Starbucks has an official program called Grounds for Your Garden. They give away used coffee grounds to anyone who asks. Walk in, ask the barista, and walk out with 5 to 20 pounds of grounds per visit. Any local cafe will do the same. They pay to dispose of grounds, so you're doing them a favor. That's your growing medium. Free. Now the spawn. Oyster mushroom spawn typically costs $10 to $20 for a bag. But there's a workaround. Buy a fresh pack of oyster mushrooms at the grocery store, $4 to $5. Separate the stem bases, press them into your substrate. These stem butts contain live mycelium and will colonize the coffee grounds. It's called cloning. Not every attempt works, but when it does, your spawn cost drops to zero. Income math. 1 pound of coffee grounds produces roughly half a pound to 3/4 of a pound of mushrooms per flush, with 2 to 3 flushes per batch. At 10 pounds of grounds per week, you're producing 5 to 8 pounds of mushrooms per week. Sell at $12 per pound at a farmer's market, $60 to $96 per week. Monthly, $240 to nearly $400. The number one margin killer, contamination. Mold competing with your mycelium will wipe a batch. Keep your inoculation area as clean as possible. Wipe surfaces with isopropyl alcohol before handling spawn. Mealworms are the entry-level insect farm. They're quiet, they don't escape easily, they don't smell, and the market for them is enormous, driven by the backyard chicken boom and the reptile pet industry. The free start: post in local reptile Facebook groups or homesteading communities that you're looking for a starter mealworm colony. People who've been running these operations for a while split their beetle colonies regularly and often give them away. Alternatively, walk into a fishing bait shop and ask if they have any spare mealworms or beetles. It's more common than you'd think. Your bin is any repurposed plastic container at least 5 inches deep. Your bedding is oats, dollar store, $2 to $3 for a large container, the only cost in this whole setup. Food moisture comes from apple slices or carrot ends. Kitchen scraps handle that for free. Income math. A 3-bin rotating system produces 10,000 or more mealworms per month. At $10 per thousand count, that's $100 per month. At $15 per thousand for premium local sales, you're at $150. Live mealworms also sell for $12 to $20 per pound, direct to backyard chicken keepers and reptile owners. Duckweed is a floating aquatic plant, one of the fastest growing plants on Earth, doubling its mass every 2 to 3 days in warm weather. It's also 35 to 45% protein, which makes it exceptional as animal feed. And it can be sourced for free in about 5 minutes. Join any aquarium hobbyist Facebook group in your area and post, "Looking for duckweed, we'll pick up." You'll have 3 responses within an hour. Hobbyists give it away constantly because it takes over their tanks. You can also harvest it from a local pond. Just verify you're not taking from a protected waterway. Your growing container is anything waterproof. A kiddie pool, a stock tank, a plastic storage tote. No soil, no substrate. Just water, a little sunlight, and some dissolved nutrients. Fish tank water works perfectly. The direct income from duckweed is modest. Sell small portions on Etsy, eBay, or Facebook Marketplace to aquarium hobbyists for $5 to $10 per cup. Monthly realistic income, $50 to $100. But the real value of duckweed is as a feed cost reducer. If you're running any of the other systems in this video, rabbits, tilapia, poultry, duckweed can replace 20 to 50% of commercial feed, saving you $50 to $150 per month. That's money that shows up directly in your net margin. Every year in the 2 weeks after Easter, the same thing happens across America. Families bought rabbits as Easter gifts. The novelty wore off. Now they have a rabbit they don't know how to care for. Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace flood with free rabbit listings. Free to good home. Needs a new family. Comes with cage and everything. This happens on a smaller scale year-round, but the Easter surge is predictable and significant. And this is your sourcing strategy. Go collect 4 to 6 of these free rabbits, bring them home, evaluate them for health and breed characteristics. Any rabbit that's too small has health issues or is the wrong breed for your market gets culled. The rabbits that make the cut, well-built, breed standard, healthy, get raised to breeding age and sold as breeding stock. Here's why this works financially. A fryer rabbit, one sold for meat at 10 weeks, is worth $25 to $50. The same rabbit raised to 16 to 20 weeks and evaluated as a quality breeder is worth $75 to $200. You added nothing except time and a few dollars in feed. Income math. 3 productive does generate 6 or more breeding quality offspring per month. Sell 6 breeding rabbits at $100 average, $600 per month. Fryer sales from the remaining offspring at another $100 to $200. Total, $700 to $800 per month from rabbits you got for free. The number 1 mistake, buying from Craigslist without health checking. Quarantine any new animal for 2 weeks before introducing it to your operation. Respiratory infections spread fast in a rabbit colony. Crickets are the least glamorous system in this video and also one of the most consistent. The reptile pet industry runs on live crickets. Bearded dragons, leopard geckos, chameleons, virtually every popular reptile species eats crickets. And reptile owners need a constant, reliable local supply. Free start. Post in any reptile owner Facebook group that you're looking for starter crickets. Hobbyists who've been running small colonies give them away regularly. Alternatively, ask a fishing bait shop if they have any escapees or damaged stock. Your bin is any smooth-sided storage tote with a mesh lid. Egg cartons inside give the crickets vertical surface to live on. Feed them dog kibble and kitchen scraps. They need a shallow water dish with a sponge to avoid drowning. Income math. A 2-tote system produces 5,000 to 10,000 crickets per month. At $10 per thousand count, that's $50 to $100 per month. At $15 per thousand for premium local sales, $75 to $150. 2 warnings. They chirp. Loudly, keep the setup in a garage or outbuilding. And they escape from any gap larger than a few millimeters. Seal every seam. This is the most overlooked free income opportunity in the entire video. Every spring, April through June, Honeybee colonies split. The old queen leaves the hive with roughly half the workers to find a new home. This is called a swarm. The bees cluster together, usually on a tree branch, a fence post, a mailbox, or a porch railing, in a ball roughly the size of a football. During this time, the swarm is docile. The bees have no hive to defend. They are not aggressive, and they are free to anyone willing to collect them. Local homeowners call beekeepers to remove these swarms every single spring. Many beekeepers are too busy to take every call. If you build a simple wooden hive box, Langstroth dimensions are freely available online. Total material cost from scrap lumber is roughly $0 to $20. You can accept these calls and collect swarms yourself. You now have a colony of free bees. Income math. A single established hive produces 40 to 80 pounds of raw honey per year, 3 to 7 pounds per month. Raw honey at farmers markets sells for $8 to $15 per pound. That's $30 to $105 per month from honey alone. Add beeswax, $8 to $12 per ounce to candle makers and cosmetics companies. Add swarm removal as a service, charge neighbors $75 to $150 per swarm call. In a good spring, you can do 3 to 8 calls per month. Combined first-year income from one captured swarm, $100 to $175 per month. With 3 hives, 3 to 5 times that. The number one mistake, skipping protection. A quality veil and gloves run $30 to $80, the only cost in this entire system. Do not skip them. Here's the combined picture. Red wigglers, $75 to $120 per month. Black soldier fly larvae, $200 to $350. Garden snails, $100 to $200. Oyster mushrooms on coffee grounds, $200 to $400. Mealworms, $100 to $150. Duckweed, $50 to $100. Free rabbits into breeding stock, $500 to $700. Crickets, $75 to $125. Spring swarm bees, $100 to $175. Total range, $1,400 to $2,300 per month. Midpoint, $1,800. Now, these 9 systems are not meant to be run simultaneously by one person on day one. The realistic starting stack for a beginner is 3 systems: red wigglers, oyster mushrooms on coffee grounds, and either mealworms or BSFL. Those 3 together run $350 to $650 per month with almost no cash invested, and they teach you the operating rhythms of biological systems before you scale. The rabbit system takes the most time to ramp but delivers the biggest single income line once it's moving. Timeline to first revenue: mushrooms pay out in 3 to 4 weeks, mealworms and worms in 6 to 8 weeks, rabbits in 4 to 5 months, bees in 6 to 12 months for meaningful honey volume. No hype, no farming fantasy. This is what the math says. If you're starting from zero and want to know which 3 of these to launch first, the answer is in this video. Rewatch the stack summary and pick the 3 that fit your climate and your available containers. The next video on this channel breaks down a single animal that most people overlook entirely, with a startup cost well under $200 and a monthly income ceiling most backyard farmers never hit. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Acre income. Because the best farm fits in your backyard.